This is the Fantasy Ladder Podcast, episode 49. We have now reached the Super Bowl. This is the Super Bowl preview show. So we're going to be talking some Eagles, talking some Chiefs, and talk through some of our favorite prop bets as well, and then our general predictions for the game, final score guesses, things like that. So we got a bunch of great guests here representing the Eagles, along with myself and a bunch of Eagles and a bunch of Chiefs fans as well, to talk how we would game plan against the opponent. So just wanted to remind you that this show is brought to you by the IDP Guys Network. So please like and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a new piece of content from the IDP Guys. So without further ado, we will bring on our guests one by one, starting with Dynasty Santa. So welcome in, Steve. Say a little something about yourself and plug some content for us.
Go Birds, first of all, very important. Yeah, so I am Dynasty Santa on Twitter, and I am the IDP Guys content manager. I help out doing editing, ranking, trying to wrangle in the staff and get our articles pumped out there, and just as much as I can do to help keep the machine going. So excited to be on here, and yeah, looking forward to it.
I love it. So what are your plans for the game coming up here on Sunday?
So we just bought a new house pretty recently, so we're probably going to just stick to home and have a few friends over and probably take it easier than I would have in the past. But you see,
Yeah,
this beard's getting gray these days, so we're probably going to take it a little easy and just party at home.
there you go. There you go. I love it. And now, in these kinds of situations, as a Philadelphia fan, we've had our ups and our downs here over the course of our
Oh yeah.
fandom. Are you superstitious in times like these, or you just kind of go with the flow? Are you more rational? Any sort of traditions you hold on to leading up to games like this?
These days, I try to be a little more rational.
Yeah,
Back in the first Super Bowl run, I may have had, wearing some socks for a little longer than I probably should have and whatnot. But yeah, but these days we're just, I'm a pessimist at heart, so like I'm kind of that ultimate like, sort of like a mush at times. So I try to play up that persona a little bit because then if the win comes, it's that much better. But if it doesn't, you've kind of set yourself up for the disappointment already. So that's
that's
sort of
right. That's right.
my personality that I play up during big games like that.
Whatever helps you get through it, I'm there
Exactly.
with you. So that's all good. I, of course, will reveal my answer about the superstitions at the end. But appreciate you being on,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
go Birds, obviously. So, and we're gonna bring on another Eagles fan. We got FF Bird Gang. So welcome in, Darren. Say a little something about yourself and any content you like to plug.
What's up, Steve? Thanks for having me on again. Happy to represent the birds here. You can follow me on Twitter at FFBirdGang. I'm working on some dynasty strategies and some rookie content that will be dropping shortly. So keep an eye out for that.
Perfect, perfect. Any special plans for the game?
So this year I'm doing something a little different, which maybe isn't different to most people, but I'm staying home. I'm watching the game at home. I want to be right in front of my TV. I don't want to miss a single play. The last two weekends for the divisional round and the NFC Championship, I was out at a bar acting crazy, getting rowdy with the fans, and it was awesome. But I actually want to just like stay and really just zone in on this game and just break it down, analyze it the best way I can.
I love that. I love that answer. Yeah, it's such a special thing. It is a fun thing to experience with other people, but you just want to try to just enjoy it just yourself too sometimes. So nothing wrong with that. And again, another longtime Eagles fan. Any kind of superstitions you have leading up to a big game like this, or not so much?
So I kind of have a thing. It's not just in the Super Bowl, but I never bet on the Eagles. Like we're gonna go over some prop bets later, and I'll like tell you what I like, which you should probably do the opposite of. But I never bet on the Eagles because it's almost like when they lose and you bet on them, it's a double down loss. Like it just feels twice as worse than if it would. And if they win, they win. But like I am not betting on them whatsoever. So I'm staying away from that, and I'm saving the rest of the Philadelphia fans from having to deal with some bad beats here.
There you go. There you go. So if you're gonna lose, it's not gonna affect your bank account. So that's good. Yeah, that's definitely wise for sure. And then hey, if that's working for you, definitely stick with it for sure, for sure. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and obviously go Birds here.
Yeah, birds.
And we're going to bring on our first of two Chiefs fans. So we welcome back Axton onto the show. You can find him on Twitter at Harding_3. So Axton, please tell us a little bit about yourself and any content you'd like to plug.
Hey, thanks for having me, Steve. Like you said, you can find me on Twitter at Harding_3. I'm kind of a writer of sorts, content creator for the IDP guys. You can find me on their YouTube channel. I try to get into the Discord. I've been a little bit inactive more these days, but I plan to get back into it. Fatherhood's kept me pretty busy and occupied lately, so that's been my my primary focus for lately. But that's kind of where you can find me.
I love it. I love it. So fatherhood has kept you out of the Discord a little bit. Is that going to be affecting your plans for the game on Sunday?
Oh no, he'll be with us no matter where we go.
Oh, perfect,
We kind
perfect.
of go to
Gotcha.
our friend's Super Bowl party. He'll be with us because, granted, everybody's gonna want to see the baby more so than even us. We could probably just drop him off and nobody would even know that we
That's
were
kind of
even there.
perfect, actually. You can just pass the baby off. Everyone can get their turn with them, and you can actually just sit and enjoy some food for once in your life. That's awesome.
That's kind of how it ends up working out. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that seems like a pretty foolproof plan, unless like a big mess occurs. I don't know, but so obviously the Chiefs are back in the Super Bowl, third time in the last several years here. So any kind of superstitions you carry, or you just kind of more go with the flow, going into a game like this?
No, I'm pretty much just go with the flow these days. I'm back in when I was playing sports in college and high school. You could have probably found me, uh, much like Santa, just kind of wearing all the same stuff and going through all those superstitions. But these days, I'm more laid back and just kind of go with it.
I like it. I like it. Sounds good. Well, welcome back on, and we'll have you back on sometime in the future, obviously. But I would say good luck to the Chiefs, but I'm really not going to mean it. So we'll touch on that in a little while here. But we will bring on another Eagles fan. We got Jason. Jason, tell us a little bit about yourself and plug any content, bud.
Hey, Steve, thanks for having me back again. It's good to see all of you. I think I've been on the show in various incarnations with all of you in the past. So it's good to see everyone again. I'm, as you know, the senior writer for Dynasty Nerds. I do a lot of written content for them over there. Right now, as we talked about just a couple of weeks ago, I'm in rookie season, just like just about everybody in Dynasty. So we're working hard at getting profiles out and kind of getting our subscribers and readers information on their pending rookie draft. So that's where my attention's at right now. I'll also echo the Go Birds sentiment from from the few that have preceded me here tonight. I'm fired up for the game as well, and obviously lifetime Eagles fan.
Awesome. Any special plans for viewing the game or staying at home, or what you got going on?
We're gonna keep it at home.
Yeah.
I have two daughters. They're 5 and 8, so we're gonna try to make some lasting memories. Hopefully one that that we can harken back to in decades to come. They were here with me in 2018. I guess it was the 2017 season, but they're both a little too young to remember it. So I'm hoping that this time around we have something that's a little more long lasting. I remember it fondly, but I'm not sure that they do. So hopefully this will be a little bit more special for them.
No, certainly. Yeah. Back then, my youngest was 5 months old, and my oldest was 2.5. So we had our hands full watching that game. I just
Yep.
remember watching most of the fourth quarter, holding my trying to sleep infant, but I was jumping around, I was screaming because that game was nuts, all the scoring. So that little kid did not sleep very good that night, at least leading up to the typical bedtime, but
Yep.
it was for a good cause. But yeah, but same with you. I hope that our kids can have a nice lasting memory. And if the Eagles lose, well, it's like, well, just welcome to how it was when I was your age,
That's right.
But
You get
so
your
either way,
indoctrination. Yeah,
that's right.
exactly.
And that might bring us closer together. I don't know. But it'll be a fun time either way. But
Right.
appreciate you coming on, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on the rest of the stuff we're going to talk about. So
Sure.
glad to have you back.
Yep.
And a first time guest, we have another Chiefs fan. We got Drop the Mic FF. So welcome on, Mike. Tell us a little bit about yourself and plug any content you have for us.
Thanks for having me, Steve. You can find me over at Going for Two. I'm a dynasty writer there, and I'm also over at the Run Boys Fantasy Network a lot of the times. Thanks for having me. And when I remembered you were an Eagles fan, I almost said no, but then I had to come over and just give you guys a hard time.
No, that's great. I wanted you to bring all the heat. Just bring it all.
Hey,
I love it.
Got it.
Yeah, I love it. So, did you have any special plans for viewing the game on Sunday?
So I'm going to combine that with the superstition thing. I'm not superstitious, but I'm the type that is tilting before the national anthem starts.
Yeah.
I will not be sitting down at all during the game. And my buddy that I go to all my sporting events with, he's the one that he's a Cowboys fan. I went to Jerry World with him. He went to Arrowhead with me. So I'm going to his house because he knows how I am. And I'd rather not go to another friend's house who's going to have about 30 people over. So there's going to be like us two and our wives, and that's it. And I can focus on the game, eat good food, but still do what I need to do to concentrate on the game, just like everyone else on this panel.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. So I like that. I like that. Yeah. So for me, we were discussing backstage. I have been growing a playoff beard. It's not much of a beard. I'm no Dynasty Santa over there, but I have been just trimming up my neck and my cheeks a little bit. I just don't want to come across as like the Andrew Luck caveman, you know. But so I've been growing up the playoff beard. I have a specific seat on my couch that I have to sit in. My son was sitting there just like as a joke, and I'm like, buddy, you got to move right now. I need to sit there, and it's been working out so far. A snack that my wife has made. Each of the victories thus far have been these like buffalo cauliflower bites. Absolutely delicious. But she's like, I had to make them again this Sunday, don't I? I'm like, absolutely, you're definitely making them again. So we're gonna dig into those, and I'm gonna be wearing the same socks, shirt, and sweatpants I wore for the divisional round, championship round, and for the Super Bowl. So I feel like I may be crazy, but I'm trying to do my part. I will have no control over what happens in the game other than what I control with myself in my home. So those are the things that I will be doing, as well as in addition to watching Silver Linings Playbook the night before, which I did in the 2018 run. So again, I'm just doing the things I can do to try to help get the juju moving forward, right? As Robert De Niro says in that. But yeah, so I'm kind of a crazy person, but that's okay. We're all a little crazy. Then plans for viewing the game. I'm just watching at home, just trying to like Jason said, just trying to make some good memories. Hopefully with my boys. They are getting more into football. They have sided on the Eagles because my wife is a Steelers fan. So this has been very convenient having the Eagles be pretty competitive here as they're getting into it. So I think it'll be a fun time either way. But I've already denied going out to different people's houses and parties. I'm like, look, guys, this has been working. I gotta keep myself here. Again, just trying to do my part. So but yeah, so I'm very much looking forward to the game on Sunday, which of course will start at 6:30. Currently, the Eagles are favored at -1.5 with an over/under of 51. So it's going to be a blast at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. But basically, what we're going to dig into here to start the show is we're just going to go around. We're going to separate it first with the Chiefs and then with the Eagles. Basically, I want to hear your take. If you were the head coach of your favorite team for this specific matchup, how would you game plan for this opponent? So we'll start with the Chiefs fans. We'll start with Axton, and then we'll go to Mike. How would you game plan for this game, Axton?
I think this one is going to kind of be. I said last week or last pod when we Chiefs were playing the Bengals that we needed them to pass the ball, and I think honestly that's going to be the way that the Chiefs are going to have to win is contain the run. Because that's been what's worked for the Eagles, at least in the playoffs, and ever since Jalen Hurts' shoulder injury, which I have a hunch is bothering him more than maybe the Eagles are even leading on. Maybe judging by kind of his passing stats the last couple of matchups, followed up with not even a single playoff touchdown. I think he's going to rely more on his legs and do what he does best in that regard. So I think our defensive line is going to become very important in this one. And as far as maybe the the offensive side goes, I think we're not just going to have a heyday with this defense. The Eagles' defense is too solid for us to just kind of have our way with them. I think Andy Reid's going to try to be a little bit more picky with maybe the plays that he calls. I think Jason mentioned last week or a couple weeks ago, rather, that the Eagles have been best exploited through just small chunk plays, getting 5, 6, 7 yards here and just kind of keeping the chains moving. And I think that's kind of what the Chiefs are going to have to focus on here is more of like the short passing game, doing dump offs to Pacheco. He's going to be important to kind of help us keep drives alive and keep the chains moving on offensive possessions, because we really don't want to be punting the ball to an offense as good as the Eagles. And that's going to be really the only way I feel like that we're going to be able to consistently move down the field on the defense. Rely on Travis Kelce to be open in the seams in the middle of the field. Try to get a couple of dump offs to Pacheco, as I mentioned, or like say just short slants, and just try to kind of inch our way down the field each time. And again, with the defense putting pressure on Jalen Hurts, we just got to try to contain that passing game, because that's really going to be the way that we lose. I think we defend the run the best, but the passing game is really going to hurt us if our defensive line can't keep pressure on Hurts. Then our secondary, I don't feel like, is strong enough to really keep this game as close as we need it to be.
Gotcha. So how about you, Mike? Do you have any differing thoughts on that? And if so, or if not, who do you think are going to be the key players for the Chiefs and the Eagles in this one?
So I pretty much agree with everything Axon's saying. Another thing I'll bring up about the offensive side of the ball is I'm not the biggest McCall Hardman fan in the Kansas City Kingdom, but with him being gone and them activating CEH, I think they're actually going to use McKinnon more in the passing game, maybe even a little bit in the slot, because the problem is the wide receivers are dinged up. You had Tony dinged up. You had Hardman now officially out. I don't think CEH is the answer. If the Chiefs go and draft another guy running back, I wouldn't be upset. But I think Pacheco, like Axon said, Pacheco is going to have to be involved, but it is going to be those little chunk plays to get, break it down where you can every once in a blue moon, go down the field to MVS. If MVS doesn't have a couple decent plays, I'm going to be scared, because if we don't suck the defense back to that and have, open up the seams like Axon was saying and open up that middle for Kelce, we're going to be in trouble. What really scares me is the other side of the ball. Axon brought it up, but our secondary against those wide receivers, if our secondary can't hold up, and this is me venting right now, I am going to lose my mind watching this game. Okay?
Yeah.
32nd in the league in the regular season in red zone defense. And you're going to go against Devonta Smith and freaking A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert? Give me a freaking break. Yes, Jalen Watson has done good this year, but he is a 7th-round rookie. He will get burned. Snead is coming back after the concussion, but I still don't trust it. Juan Thornhill is good for 1 pass interference and 2 boom plays a game. I'm just worried that if Jalen's arm is good and he does get going, that if we don't bend and break, we're going to bend and shatter in the red zone, and then that's when we're going to lose the game.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think it would be wise for the Chiefs to look for quick passes. I think that they don't want to mess with the Eagles' rush defense as well. Yeah, for sure. So I generally basically just want Mahomes off the field. We know how quickly the Chiefs can score. So if the Eagles can have long, sustained drives, with a lot of the running game, that would be the ideal game plan for myself. Obviously, easier said than done. But we'll kick it over to Dynasty Santa. So, Steve, how would you approach this game? Just like the first thing that comes to mind, if you were the head coach, what would you want to try to capitalize on or stop on the Chiefs side?
I mean, I think we all know it's going to be the Mahomes Kelsey show. So they really don't have many other weapons that strike much fear into a defense like ours. So you have to send the house, which we've been doing much of the year. So I think keeping up that strong pass rush, being aggressive with the pass rush is key, and then stopping Kelsey, locking him down. I'm super excited to have Gardner Johnson, been back for a while now, healthy after missing a good chunk of the season. I think he's going to be a really important role player on defense for the game to hopefully, not sure if he'll exactly be the Kelsey equalizer, but I know just that's probably what I would game plan and try to do. And then, like I said, of course, send the house on defense. From an offensive perspective, like our sticky Chiefs fans here have been saying, their secondary isn't great. So I would say, the running game's been our bread and butter most of the year, but this is the big game. I think if you're having trouble establishing the run, you got to just pick on these corners. We have the ability to do that, I would say, pretty easily. So I'm hoping that, the game plan doesn't go south if, one aspect isn't working, especially primarily the run game. But, I think we've got a lot of options in the passing game that can, really be the difference maker there. So I'm making sure that, AJ Brown's getting his targets, Smith's getting his targets, Goddard's getting just keep hammering these guys all game, and I think that's a nice little recipe for success there.
I love it. So how about you, Darren? Is there anything that you're especially worried about on the Chiefs side? Does like Chris Jones strike fear into you, and Frank Clark, guys like that, or do you think the offensive line's gonna be enough to hold them back?
You just read my mind, man.
Oh, perfect.
From the
Okay.
start with this conversation, I was thinking Chris Jones is going to be a problem. He's just been wrecking lines all year. He's going to affect our run game in a big way. Our offensive scheme up front really has to be dialed in. We got to get those double teams down, and we got to control those guys. And I think a key to us winning this game is starting off hot. We've been starting off hot in games and getting really good first drives. And even if they don't end on a touchdown, we're pinning them deep. But we, started off a couple games with that first touchdown, and it just makes them feel comfortable where they are. So usually I'm like a defer guy when we win the coin toss, but I wouldn't even mind, taking the ball first and just getting that chance of getting an opening score and, already having Mahomes on his toes when he's coming out of the field.
Gotcha. I love it. No, it's so true. If we can start strong and kind of get them reeling early, that would be great. But I don't know, just the Patrick Mahomes factor to me, I'm just the most nervous about. But Jason, speaking of Patrick Mahomes, he still has a little bit of issue with his ankle. In his past 2 Super Bowl appearances, he's thrown 2 interceptions in each. What would you game plan for if you were the head coach? Round up the guys. What would you say is the number one priority in this game?
So I think it's been pretty deftly handled from the panelists. I've kind of got the leftovers here, but I mean, I will totally agree that the Chiefs secondary is something that obviously I think both coaching staffs are going to recognize as a vulnerability. They had they allowed the most passing touchdowns in the entire league this season, which is kind of a crazy stat for a team that's in the Super Bowl. And the Eagles, they can pass when they want to pass or they need to pass. They kind of get a reputation as a rushing first team. But I think Jalen Hurts has shown an ability to go downfield if he needs to. To me, my game plan, if I'm Sirianni and I'm working this out, what I'd like to see them do is come out and show that run first mentality, hopefully have some success. I mean, I'm not saying breaking off 20-yard runs out of the gate, but, move the chains a couple times, kind of force the Chiefs to compress that box, bring, Justin Reed down in the box, suck those defenders up tight, and then start taking shots downfield to to Smith and to Brown, because then you've got them in a one-on-one situation with an untested secondary, a lot of young guys, a lot of inexperienced guys that are now in the Super Bowl, which is probably going to have the adrenaline going, and they're going to be worried about getting beat. So they're going to give a big cushion, and I think there's definitely, it's kind of like one thing, one hand washes the other. If your RPOs are working and that run game is working and Miles Sanders is getting 3-4 yards of carry and you're able to move the chains, all of a sudden now the Chiefs have to react. And now that's when things really can kind of open up and you can exploit some of that vulnerability downfield.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Yeah, sounds good. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a really fun game. I'm obviously very nervous, but I'm not quite as nervous in this one compared to going up against the 49ers. Maybe that's just like a coping mechanism I have. Like, I don't know. But I just think it's going to be a really fun game. Like, so I'm just like really, really looking for it. I generally speaking don't have any ill will towards the Chiefs in general. Like, going into the game against the Patriots, I was like, we're going up against like the Death Star, like the evil empire, like it's just all the nerves were there, like so much at stake there. Plus, like getting the revenge from like 2004, everything else, or 2005. Either way, I'm a little bit more at ease going into this one. I'm very excited for it, but obviously I want to come out on top, but very much looking forward to it. But great points all around, guys. Appreciate your insight there. Okay, so what we're going to go through now are some of our favorite prop bets for the Super Bowl. There's rushing, receiving, throwing, everything, right? There's like, what color is the Gatorade going to be at the end? All kinds of crazy stuff. Jason, I'll have you start us off here since you had the scraps of the first discussion.
I don't mind.
Yeah, gotcha. So yeah, so give us a prop bet or two, and let's hear it.
So one thing that I kind of did a little digging to prep for the show, and one thing that I found was, or one thing that I really liked is the Chiefs allowed the most receiving yards and touchdowns to tight ends in 2022. They gave up 1,765 yards to tight ends and 16 touchdowns, so almost averaging a touchdown a game to tight ends. And as you know, we just talked about it. Smith and AJ Brown are getting a lot of the banner or the hype for this game as receiving options for the Eagles. So there's a prop bet for Dallas Goedert for touchdowns. Anytime touchdown is plus 175, and for him to score the first touchdown is plus 1250. So if you really want to take a chance and go with him in the first touchdown, I mean, I don't think that's a terrible bet, but the anytime is almost like calling at you, because I mean, for the Chiefs to have average giving up at least a touchdown a game to a tight end, and for the Eagles, I mean, I know Travis Kelce gets a lot of the attention, and rightfully so. He's a Hall of Famer. He's probably the best tight end in the league, but Dallas Goedert's a top 5 tight end as well, and nobody talks about him. I mean, he's kind of gotten dismissed in the Super Bowl hype and the discussion leading up to the game. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if, like we just talked about, as far as the game plan, they're going to try to one-on-one those corners down the field, and that leaves those seams wide open for Dallas Goedert. And to me, I'd take that anytime touchdown bet. That seems like a really nice bet.
I like that a lot. What was that, your main one, or did you have a second one?
No, that was the main one. I mean, if anything else, I would say we'll get to a score prediction later, but I'm kind of tipping my hat a little bit. I'm looking at like a shootout in this game. I'm being totally honest with you. And so I think I know that over under at 51 seems high, but I would still go over. I feel like both these teams have a proficient offense, and I think there's going to be a lot of points in this game. And to me, 25 points apiece, that doesn't feel like a lot on paper. So yeah, I would take the over too.
Gotcha. Okay. I like that. So over for the game. Okay. Love it. All right, Axton, let's hear from you, buddy. We'll get a Chiefs perspective on this one now. Any prop bet that is your favorite? Anything that is screaming to smash at this point for you?
Honestly, I was kind of taking a look earlier, and it was a little tough because, as a Chiefs fan, of course, the Travis Kelce touchdown is always very appealing. You can almost kind of guarantee one of those at some point throughout the game. If they expect to win, they really need to. So I think a Travis Kelce anytime touchdown possibly even like a first touchdown. If the Chiefs get the ball first, I would imagine he's going to be the one they're going to want to go to early and often. And then, like Jason said, I like the over this week at 25, 26 points apiece. It seemed like I feel like this game is going to be more upper 20s. So I think I think the over would be a good one in this one too.
Gotcha. I like it. All right, Darren, let's hear from you, buddy.
So I like to bet on, like I said, I don't bet on the Eagles, but here's what I would take. I like to bet on guys that have like a low total for props because, like, it's easy to hit, could come on one play. So I was just looking at the Eagles rushing yards, and Kenny Gainwell is at 19.5, and Boston Scott's only at 8.5 rushing yards. So I like both of those. I feel like the Eagles can mix it up in the backfield, and Kenny Gainwell is plus 300 to score a touchdown, and he got one the other week. You never kind of know what they're going to do in the backfield, what the offensive game plan is going to be. I feel like those totals are so low. Boston Scott, 8.5 yards. I mean, that's 1 or 2 carries, and he can get that total. So
I love it. That was the first one I had underlined as well. So for me, just with the usage that Gainwell has gotten just in the playoffs alone, I mean, he's only going to need 4 rushes to hit that 19.5 at the current yards per carry he has had displayed here. Now, again, I don't think it's going to be a blowout. Obviously, like the other games have been, so it's not quite the same situation. But I think with how productive he has been, I think he could get a little bit more work in this one, regardless if they're coming from behind, if they're ahead, or if it's a neutral game script. So I definitely think he'll have enough involvement in the game where I think he should hit the 19 and a half as well. So that was one of mine, but I'll save my second one for the end here if it doesn't get mentioned. So let's kick it over to Mike. Mike, did you have any prop bets for us tonight?
Rookie mistake. I think the same thing as Bird Gang in the sense of sometimes looking at the low totals. I don't know why, but the one that's standing out to me on the Chiefs side, even though we have Travis Kelce, Noah Gray's at 12.5 yards for receiving yards. And I think they're going to, because the Eagles are going to be so focused on Kelce, rightfully so, that could be one pass play up the middle to Noah Gray, and you can get 13 or 14 on one play or a couple of 6-7s. The other thing that scares me being a Chiefs fan, Hurts is going to get over 50 yards. I'm sorry, on the ground. He's going to rush for like 65. I just feel it. And the other one, without tipping my hat too much, I think we all kind of agree, like Jason brought up first, there's no way this game is not under. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's the over, and I would put money on that in a second.
Gotcha. Very good. All right, Steve, you got any other props for us?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with some of the fun stuff. So the first one I saw that I liked is the Super Bowl MVP, QB versus the field. I like the field at plus 400. I mean, you essentially have 20 guys versus 2. So that one kind of stood out to me as a pretty nice potential bet. If things don't go the way we're all kind of expecting them to with the over hitting and stuff, and we have a lower scoring defensive game, it could be a Chris Jones, it could be a Josh Sweat, it could be a Hassan Reddick, a Gardner Johnson, taking away the MVP. Darius big play Slay maybe returns a interception for a touchdown. So I think there's a lot of attractive options this year, especially AJ Brown, maybe. Travis Kelce, like there's plenty of guys you can see going home with the MVP outside of the quarterback. So and quarterbacks, I think I heard somebody on a podcast earlier this week. Quarterbacks don't win as often as you probably think they do. It's still like a good chunk, obviously, but it's not like as automatic as you might think. So that's one of my favorite.
Yeah, it was
ones
Cooper
to
Kupp last year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just
Yep.
the other year. So
I saw on
another fun.
Not to interrupt, but I saw we were just talking about Kenny Gainwell. I saw on Twitter today somebody put like a $2,500 bet on him as the MVP, and it's set to make like over 300,000 if it cashes. It was like insane odds. But hey,
That's
I mean, if
that's
you have that
crazy.
kind of money to throw
Yeah.
around, go
Go
for it.
for it.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
surprised
certainly.
they
Sorry,
do.
I didn't mean
So
to interrupt, but you just struck a nerve when
yeah,
you were talking
no,
about
that's
the
a
other players. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Another fun one that I saw was the game, the final score ending up in a scoregami. I'm not sure if anyone's familiar with that.
Yep.
But yeah, I think with the, as we are all hoping for kind of a high powered, high scoring game, maybe it ends in a score we've never had before. So that's at
Mm,
like plus 1800. So you throw a buck on that, and you can, if it happens, you're walking away with a nice night, maybe paying for all your other lost bets potentially for a $1 bet. So at plus 1800. So I kind of like that. Of course, you always got to go tails never fails. That's a
okay.
classic. That's always a fun one. And then a player one. I'll go one player. Let me find, who did I like? First player to record a sack. I'm actually want to go with Josh Sweat on that one at plus 750. Of course, Reddick is the favorite. Chris Jones behind him, but I like my guy. I've been a big Josh Sweat guy for the past few years. Obviously, we do IDP fantasy football. I've rostered him on as many teams as possible for the way too many leagues that I'm in for my IDP leagues, and I've got him in almost all of them. So big fan of Josh Sweat, and I'm gonna be sprinkling a little for him to record the first sack at plus 750. So those are some of my favorites.
Very nice. I love it. I don't do a lot of prop bets, but I love the thought process with everyone, and I think those are really great. The only other one that I'll mention here is regarding the national anthem. I'm really looking forward to national anthem this year. Chris Stapleton, I'm a big fan, and not only a great singer but an awesome guitar player. So I'm hoping he brings out the guitar for it. And if he does, that would help my bet here, where I think he's going to go over the 2 minutes and 2 seconds. Uh, I have seen him in concert before. I was anticipating, 2 hour show. He was going for 3 hours and some change. I'm not saying like the whole national anthem is going to be super long, but he knows how to let a song breathe in the best way possible. So I'm going to take the over on 2 minutes and 2 seconds. It doesn't always get to the 2 minute mark, but some of the times that it has in the last several years, Lady Gaga was one where it went well over 2 minutes. So I think he may just let a couple of those notes hang a little bit. So I definitely would take the over on the national anthem with Chris Stapleton, as well as the Kenneth Gainwell over 19 and a half rushing yards. But
I love talking about the national anthem prop bet. Okay, I have some quick conspiracy theories. So,
okay.
first, I would Google and see if he's done the national anthem anywhere else. Like, check it out on YouTube and do a little hand timer action there to see how he's done it before. I usually say chicks go over, guys go under, but a country singer, like you said, with the guitar and play, that's a whole nother dynamic here. So I do like where your head is at going with the over, despite it being a guy singing the national anthem. And chicks, you could almost hammer the over every single time, no matter what the
Yep.
number is. They love to draw out those long notes and
Oh
whatnot.
yeah.
So that's my little take on the national anthem.
Even though
Oh,
Steve's
that's
an
awesome.
Eagles fan, I love his thinking about bets. I love it.
I'm an idiot, so please just disregard all that. I mean, just like Darren, it's like anything he's thinking, just do the opposite. I'm in the same boat, but I just think it's going to be a lot of fun. Just gives you a little extra something to think about in those pregame nerves, which I'm sure will be rampant. I'm fresh out of fingernails. I've just been biting them all week, so I just cannot wait for this game to start. But 2 minutes, 2 seconds. I'm gonna have a very close eye on what my guy Stapleton does. But yeah, so what we're going to get into now, just general predictions for the game. We've kind of already covered this a bit. A lot of us think it's going to be high scoring. Pretty simple to think that way, right? Like both teams can score very quickly if they need to, and they can also have pretty long and sustained drives. So just want to go around here and just hear the official final score guess from all the panelists. A lot of us were thinking the over. Um, we'll just kind of go in a circle here. So we'll start back with Dynasty Santa, then we'll go around. So what would be your final score prediction for Super Bowl 57?
All right, I gave this to our guy, our friend Jace Abbey. He was looking for earlier in January, like the very beginning of January, right after New Year's. He was harvesting some predictions from us, and I actually called it back then. I said Chiefs Eagles in the Super Bowl, and I went 34-31. So I'm going to stick with that score from earlier this year.
Okay, I love that. Wow. Jeez. Very good. All right. How about you, Darren? Where are you thinking?
Pretty similar to Dynasty Santa there. I have the Eagles at 34 as well and the Chiefs at 28. I like the over, and I think there's a good possibility we see some defense, but in the way of the defense could be scoring, interception, turnover, fumble. I could easily see either team having a defensive score in this game, driving that up.
Very good. Very good. I like that. I like that a lot. Let's go to Mike. Where would you have the final score? Because you were very adamant about the over. So love to hear your thoughts there.
It's funny that both of these boys picked the 34 because I'm saying 34-30 KC.
Okay. All right. 34-30. All right. Jason, where are you thinking?
So, the way that I break this game down, we already kind of talked about it, but I look for a lot of big shots and splash plays from the Eagles, which obviously portends to scoring. I also think the Chiefs are going to take advantage of the underneath area and be able to march the field pretty reliably, which allows them to kind of get into the red zone with some ease as well. So with that said, I do think it's a high scoring shootout. I mentioned it earlier. I'm part of the Eagles hive mind here. So in fact, Santa, I can send you my show sheet with my notes on it so you don't think I'm stealing from you. I have 34-31 Eagles. I'm not kidding you. The same exact
Great minds,
score.
right? Great minds think alike.
Crazy. When you said it, I was like, I can't believe he went with the exact same score. This is insane.
That is insane. Wow, that's awesome. All right, Axton, what do you think the final score is going to be?
I think much like everyone else, I think this is going to be about a 3 to 4 point ball game, but I'm going to go with around the 30-27 ball game in favor of the Chiefs.
Okay, that's fascinating because I had the exact same score, but just a different result. So I was going Eagles 30, the Chiefs 27. So that's awesome. All right, guys, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you sharing your thoughts and your insights. We're just going to go back around the bend here. I just want you to re-mention any content plugs you have and mention where people can find you on Twitter, social media, wherever you're on. So we'll start with Axton and work our way back around the opposite way.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Harding_3. And again, I'm on the idpguys.org website with anything that I really put out is for them. I aspire to get maybe more into the IDP side with my writing once I get back to that point. But I've been more on the YouTube channel lately, so you can find me on there as well.
I love it. I love it. Thanks for coming on. All right, Jason.
As I said earlier, I'm Jason Snyder. You can find me on Dynasty Nerds. My Twitter handle is Spied78. You can also find me through the Dynasty Nerds channels. I'm available there. I'm going to be working on a lot of the rookie content, as I said earlier. Working on a profile right now on Keyshawn Butte. So that should be coming out within the next week or so. And after that should be just a steady stream of rookie content and draft prep work. And in addition, you can find me on podcasts when anybody like Steve is gracious enough to have me on. So thanks again for the invite, and I had a great time as always.
Of course. Awesome. All right, Mike.
You can find me over at Drop the Mike FF on the Twitter machine. You can find me over at Going for Two and the Rumboys Fantasy Network. And the other thing I want to bring up that I didn't at the beginning is if you ever want to see some graphics that I've been putting out, I've been trying to put some more out with the Super Bowl, and I'm going to do a lot more with that in the off season. And if anyone has anything they want specific, just hit me up on Twitter.
Awesome. That's great. Love that. All right. Darren.
You can find me on Twitter at FFBirdGang. Like Jason, I'm working through some rookie content right now, which should be dropping soon. I'm also on Instagram representing Dynasty Pros at Dynasty Pros FF. Got some cool graphics over there. And that's about it. Let's go Birds.
Love it. All right, Steve.
Yeah, Steve Thomason, Dynasty Santa on Twitter. All my work is on idpguys.org. Really doing an overhaul with rankings and getting off-season content up to snuff. So, yeah, really, really proud of all the work we do over there. And go Birds.
I love it. Yep. So Steve, of course, is Mr. Do It All at IDP Guys, and it's awesome. But definitely check out everyone else's content, whether it's written or visual, or if it's audio and everything else. So thanks, guys, for coming on. Again, I'm Steve at Fantasy Ladder. You can find me on Twitter, a lot of the other social media channels, but not on them as much. I'm mostly active on Twitter, obviously, but you already know that if you're watching that, most likely. But yeah, so don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Just have I think 50 more to go before the IDP guys will be doing a giveaway of a signed Nakobe Dean jersey for the 1000th subscriber to the channel. So if you're not subscribed, do that, and you have nothing to lose and everything to gain, hopefully with a signed Nakobe Dean jersey. So here's the part where I have to pretend to say good luck to the Chiefs fans. But ultimately, I'm going to be saying go Birds. But I'm very much looking forward to the game, objectively speaking. But definitely hope the Eagles come away with a victory. But thanks everyone for coming on. And until next time, keep climbing.